Okay, so the first item on the agenda is any changes to the agenda or public comment on items not on the agenda. Does anybody have any changes or comments they would like to make?
We
Okay.
do have one, Pam Brangen's here. She's going to give an update on the culvert inventory, VT culverts.
Okay, is that going to be under updates by staff?
Yeah, Pam, they're relatively short.
Okay.
I can make it as short as you'd like.
Okay. Well, how much time would you really want?
Well, I mean, I was just looking at the attendance and some of these folks just saw it at the TAC meeting. So yeah, I can do it in a few minutes. It's pretty easy.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll do it on number 6.
Okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda is review and approval of minutes from the February 1st meeting.
Yeah, I can share those.
Okay.
So it's been a while since we met. You guys should all see that there.
Yep.
February 1st. Double check the attendance list there.
I was on attendance then. This is Chelsea from Essex Junction.
Okay, thanks. All right. So update on the clean water service providers, relatively short agenda item. Danielle with the discussion of the implementation of municipal strategies in Basin 7. And then Karen walked through the kickoff of the planned update to the Basin 8 Winooski Tactical Basin Plan. Quite a long discussion of that, and then brief updates by staff, and that was it for February 1st.
Okay, thanks, Dan. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the February 1st meeting with that edit to the attendance?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thanks, Darlene. Second?
I will second. This is Dave Wheeler.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody abstaining?
Abstain, I wasn't there.
All right. So then the next item on the agenda is review and approval of the water quality tasks in the Unified Planning Work Program for fiscal year 23.
Yeah, I will walk through that.
Okay.
So you've got a cover memo there that explains things, but I just wanted to, which is basically seeking just a motion of endorsement of the Unified Planning Work Program, the water quality elements. This is starting mostly in, we do have, Regina, is it in the new stuff in 2.3? Or is it mostly in the 3 point something?
You mean for the water quality stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way down further.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. So there's a little bit of our existing programming, just so you know, in 3.2, we have the RCEP program, Stream Team, Rethink Runoff. We have our tactical basin planning outreach work funded by the state. We do have the water quality transportation regional, which mostly relates to the MRGP permit. Again, the basin planning is the tactical basin planning outreach, which funds the CLAC process here. So here we go in the third phase of the right-of-way condition inventory for stormwater retrofits. This is additional work throughout Burlington. This will be the third phase of this project. Essex Stormwater CCTV inspection. And then Winooski, the phase 2 work is carrying over a little bit to wrap up the. So if sometimes projects carry over to the next fiscal year if all the funding wasn't spent. We have a similar inspection and inventory for Winooski. The Colchester MRGP outfall, asset management software, Colchester. The Westward Village stormwater treatment assessment, that's carrying over because the design work continues at the property there, at some of the properties there for the Pigeon property and other surrounding implications, as well as the brownfields work. So it was premature to wrap that project up this year. We do have a couple phosphorus control plan update projects. Colchester project was put in as a mid-year adjustment this year. We assume it'll probably wrap up, but to be safe, it may carry over there. And then we also have the same thing for, for Essex phosphorus control plan treatment practices. And similar, so also with Shelburne here, stormwater plan update and conceptual designs. Same thing with Williston. And then further work in the Allen Brook watershed there, especially to hopefully keep that from turning into an impaired stream. And then other sort of are not really new projects, but continuate. Well, the one biggest new one here will be the Clean Water Provider formula grants. That'll be about $500,000 a year. Those won't start till July 1st. And we do have our current Clean Water Service Provider startup funding ongoing. And then we are managing one small grant, or excuse me, about $100,000 grant for the design work at the Pomerleau Price Chopper property there on Shelburne Road near 189. And that is the elements of the water quality elements. And then the memo just described how the UPWP met in January, February, and March. We received 1.8 million in project requests, and we were able to fund everything. Due to the increase in federal funding, no transportation related water quality projects were removed from the draft. And then, yeah, so we're in pretty good shape. So the total one with the water quality element is 455,000. And the UPWP committee recommended advancements. The executive committee recommended that the board warn a public hearing. And so the staff recommendation here is we were seeking the CCRPC, the QUAC recommends approval of the FY23 UPWP to the CCRPC board.
Okay, with that, does anybody have any questions or comments on the UPWP? All right, hearing none, can I get a motion to endorse the Unified Planning Work Program for fiscal year 23?
I'll make the motion. This is Chelsea.
Thanks, Chelsea. Second?
I'll second it. This is Dave.
Thanks, Dave. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Or abstaining? Okay, thank you. So the next item on the agenda is a Basin 8 Tactical Basin Plan update from Karen.
Hi. All right,
Hi.
so I will share my screen with you if you don't mind. And let's see. I think this is it. Okay. So let's see, let's see. I probably need to make this a bit bigger. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit.
Let's see. Not that big, huh? There we go. All right, so I'll give you an update of timing but also then give you an overview of what I heard from the group that met on March 17th. Dan actually facilitated the meeting and then provided the notes as to how I can best work with the community, basically engage them to help answer specific questions, but also to help them understand the planning process and gain some confidence in what we're doing. So we've got the first year, 2022, we're focused on gathering input from the community. In terms of schedules, having information out there that people can access about the basin as well as the planning process will be done through a story map. And so that will be May 2022. Then we'll develop with a survey to gather information that way, but also advertise the story map itself. So that distribution will happen between June and August, at least. I've been meeting with watershed groups like associations or setting up meetings, agricultural partners, so continue that. Online community meeting, we'll have one big one in September. Basically, it'll be people like to know what you're doing. They like to know, sort of have at least a draft of where we're going. So I'll have at least ideas about what we're going to be focusing on and some more specifics than I have now about the draft plan. We'll also be doing topic meetings with partners this year. And that's basically looking at how we're going to encourage project development, sort of what are the gaps, what's worked well, what hasn't, where do we need to provide more information, more technical assistance. And so there'll be areas will include enhancing forest management as well as protection through ownership, streams to help ensure that we've got the trout habitat, and also to ensure we've got riparian buffers, lakeshore, especially in the middle of the basin where we've got the Kingsbury branch that basically collects the confluence of outlet streams from, I'm trying to remember the names of all the streams there, but Woodbury, Pond, Callis, I'm drawing a blank, but anyway, all those beautiful lakes up in that area are going to be a focus. Peacham Pond, which is actually way up there, has a watershed group that is interested in working with us, and so even though it's in great shape, we'll be doing some work there, especially with AIS, and so have meetings with them as well. So, all right. So the planned update to the plan means that we need to have input. The online survey was something we talked about. Story map is going to help direct people to the survey and give them the background information they need. Presentations I'll have at the watershed group or with ag partners, a facilitated discussion, that online discussion. Our community meeting will include that. Demonstrations are ideas, but we need to talk about how that would happen. At this point, watershed groups hopefully will help with that. And community dinners were ideas, but again, that would have to be taken up by, I think, a group. So in the initial request to you, I had asked about how we could best collect information from municipalities, their commissions, their board members, and the general public. And the whole idea was we need to gain insight and a better understanding of what the community sees as hot spots. We need to know if landowners are willing, well, not so much we need to know, but if there are some barriers out there for landowners participating in any of these projects to manage stormwater or enhance riparian buffers, other natural resources, we'd like to know, but we'd also like to use this opportunity to let them know about the opportunities and the watershed groups and other organizations they can contact, like the RPCs. So it's getting information to them as well as gaining some insight as to what will help them adopt practices on their property. And then also to be able to make sure that we're out talking to everyone, identifying other stakeholders. So in the meeting that Dan facilitated. Oh, and then I also wanted to say that we shouldn't forget that the overall goal in all these meetings is creating confidence in the process, educate people about problems and practices, and then also help them to become involved in the planning or implementation process. And I think that that's a big part of the survey, is going to be basically putting out information as well as receiving it. Because our surveys are not going to be scientifically, or the information we get back is not going to be random enough. It's not going to be comprehensive enough to be able to say this is what the community thinks. But it's a great way to get a sense of what's going on, and also really how to get information to people as well. So in terms of outcomes of the meeting, we heard that, let's see, I've missed something here. All right, we need to be specific to generate interest. I've also wondering if the surveys that Rethink Runoff has done, if we can look and take some of the answers that they've been able to obtain, or UVM extension, to basically provide an overview of what at least people in the Chittenden County area are thinking when we provide an overview of the survey's outcome. And then I like the idea of having some sort of mapping function in the survey, so visitors can drop a dot on a map and then add a comment. So that's definitely something we can do in a meeting, but I'd love to see how that can be done through a survey as well. Distribution, I know there obviously, if we can have a mass mailing, that's great, or a random sample mailed. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to do that because I don't get any funds to do that. But if you all have mailings you do anyway to, let's say, for a water bill or whatever, if we can add in a little statement about the survey, then that might be the best way to do it. Printed ad, again, we don't have any money, but if there are ideas for adding in the survey link to an ad that you may already be funding, let me know. And then can we just put forms out at libraries or schools? And is that something that interns can help with? Distribution lists, front porch forums, obviously. Let's see. So I guess I'll go through all of these and then we can go back, and if anybody has ideas. So face-to-face, it would be great to have somebody out at a farmer's market, Green Up Day, which is this next Saturday, or community dinners to help people, engage people in discussions about the basin. I can ask the watershed groups if they're willing to do that, and they'll get funding for it through the Tactical Basin Plan support grants. So that would be how that could get done. And then the online meeting, the suggestions were definitely engage people, use questions, and somebody provided a great resource, Mentimeter. And I'm thinking we also have some ideas from programs that we have already. That virtual board that I've seen used in a couple places could be an option. All right, so what's the content of the survey? Hotspots. Really, again, be specific. What are the problems? And then, but give prompts. So something that they might visualize, like, do you see erosion? Do you see pollution? Where have you seen it and where? And give people a single point of contact rather than listing out everyone. I want to let people know that there are all these resources out there. There are these watershed groups. So there may be a single point at which people can maybe reach out to me, or I could work with maybe the RPCs if they wanted to collect the information and then distribute it as well. But that makes sense. Have one point of contact, and then we can basically distribute the information to the appropriate partner. When we're talking to landowners who need assistance, ask if they'd be willing to host a restoration project. And that we should just focus on non-regulatory. So the CWIS, the QUISP funded programs or projects, which makes sense. The zoning bylaw, there was a really good point that, you know, people don't really know what's out there anyway, that we really should be providing them information about what the towns are already providing. But then we would talk really specifically one-on-one conversations between the town and DEC. And this might actually be a role for then the regional planning commissions, that if they can provide that information, then we'd be able to collect the results and develop strategies really that we put into the basin plan, basically explaining who we expect to be assisting and how, you know, over the next 5 years. So that, oh, I think I have other, and then other stakeholders. I'd listed land trusts and watershed groups, lake associations, and conservation commissions, and that was all agreed upon as good partners. And then there were some other specific to Williston and Essex Junction. So you've got the Facebook pages too, which might be a great way to provide information as well. So one, I guess if there are any questions, but also if there are specific, like I'd like to be able to know how, once we have the survey, who I can contact within your group, this group, or within the town to ask for distribution. And if there would be then an understanding with that contact that they would be responsible for then either adding it to specifically to a Facebook page or to their front porch forum distribution. So that's a lot that I just put out there. And specifically, maybe the first question is there anything that I should add to my list here for distribution especially?
I guess one question I have, and I see what you say, Charlie, this is Winooski Basin specific. And I guess for the town staff, when, you know, the folks here on the line, when you guys send out specific queries to your towns on any issue, do you get good responses?
For Essex, we haven't done a lot of surveys, to be honest. The last one we did was for a stormwater project, and it was specific to a neighborhood. So we sent out letters to all of the residents, especially the ones that were specifically affected by the project. And then we also created a survey link, like the Survey Monkey link online, and sent that out through Front Porch Forum. But that's kind of the extent that we have for experience with surveys. We don't really do a lot of them in Essex.
I would think that it could be an opportunity just to let people know about tactical basin planning, so that Charlie, if it's easy just to press out a county-wide message, then that's fine. It can say, you know, this is how we manage our surface waters. We do it I'm not gonna say it well now, but you know what I mean. We do this work, we're cleaning our surface waters, we're doing the Winooski Basin right now. Do you live there? This is how you can find out. We'd love to know more about, your thoughts if you live in the Winooski Basin. So
Yeah.
I'd love that if you guys wanted to just press a button and send it countywide. And I'd also love it if you could help me draft the language to make it enticing and interesting if you've got somebody on staff that's good with that sort of task. And Lanny said, can you piggyback onto the Rethink Runoff website campaign?
Potentially, there's no reason there couldn't be a link put in there as a sort of as a courtesy, and we spread the word about other programs. So I think if it's framed correctly, it could be, because
Yeah.
it does overlap a lot of the same towns. And it does have a pretty good Facebook page, which the RPC does not. And it's got an Instagram and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that would be the most important thing, is to have it, I think, on those, I don't know what you would call it, but the social outreach, what do you call it?
Yeah.
Social media,
social media outreach.
That- where people are dinged. So
Yeah.
here, something new from, Rethink Runoff
Right.
or the Instagram page. And so if we definitely could use Rethink Runoff website campaign, Instagram.
Yeah. The timing might work later when the survey's ready. Yeah. Right now, we're trying to get everybody to adopt a storm drain.
Well, we can add it as a strategy in the plan.
Yeah. I guess one other thing to add, and again, this is a different kind of dynamic, but we do have several flow restoration plans because of the impaired streams. Again, they're mostly town level, larger, stormwater pond retrofits and things like that. But if there's any, or within the phosphorus control plan efforts, if there's any need for the public to be more informed about those efforts, but that is relevant to a lot of our Winooski Basin towns here. I can't think of all the impaired streams of Allen Brook and what else? Centennial. Was it Alder? Is in Essex? What's the Essex one that's impaired?
Sunderland and Indian Brook are
So,
impaired.
yeah.
Indian was the one I was thinking of. Indian and Sunderland, yeah. So
Well, that's a
Is
good
that-
point.
go ahead, Darlene.
Oh, I was gonna say, are those, on those brooks that are impaired, is that something that the Basin Water Quality Council would deal with? Or because they wouldn't be under DEC? I mean, they would be under DEC, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it's an interesting. Flow restoration plans are part of the MS4 permit, but on the other hand, the data cut from DEC, from the Watershed Project database, seem to think that projects within the flow restoration plan are eligible, so I don't really know. That's the short answer. So, but anyway.
Well,
It
you know,
does-
I was gonna say too, I know that, like, for instance, in Huntington, there's some of the different outfits, like the Conservation Commission has their own website and can post information there about things that, are relevant to conservation. So, I mean, maybe through that, I think would be a way to get information out.
Yeah,
On just on your town Facebook, if you have a Facebook page.
So you'll make a first draft of the survey, Karen, and send it around, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. And what I'll do is, once I have the draft available, then it'd be great to have people then provide back ideas of or not ideas, but where it could be linked. The
Mhm.
message that we would provide and the link that would be provided on Facebook pages, Instagram page. And we could just have a mass sort of distribution. But I like this idea of, using this opportunity to remind people about the flow restoration plans, because you don't often talk about it. And
Yeah.
here it would be in context of a planning process. It's part of a larger planning process. So if Colchester and Essex Junction want to think about, Sunderland Brook, a message they want to provide about it, how it's doing, and then also adding, and if you have ideas or concerns, other concerns about Sunderland Brook or other areas, here's a survey, you can provide your input here. So I would need, if Dan, if that's something you wanted to help me.
Yeah, you go ahead and run the
Draft
first
message.
draft of this, run the first draft of the survey by me, and we could have,
Okay,
potentially introductory text on it. Okay. I have a quick question for both you, Karen, and also for Pam from our staff. How easy is it to make a website for people to drop a point on it and type in, there's erosion in my backyard, or I see eroding toxic waste coming into the stream? Do we have that ability, Pam?
Yeah, we can do that.
Mhm.
Yay.
Actually, we just started something similar for the alternative transportation plan update, where people can drop a point or draw a line and leave a comment. So yeah, we could definitely do something like that.
Awesome, that'd be great. Okay,
Wow.
that's so cool. Yeah, I love that.
all right,
All right,
all right.
hit. All right, so if anybody wants me to come talk to a town commission board as well, I am happy to do that. So let me know about that.
Great.
Okay. Anything else we want to talk about? I guess
All
not.
right.
We have my
The-
email.
Yeah. The environmental database, or what do they call it, the environment where all the projects are listed.
Yeah, the Watershed Projects database.
Yeah, the database. That there's so many on there. I mean, it seems like those that already have a plan, that have an approved final plan. I mean, are those going to be things that we're looking at first, or you're
Yes.
looking at first?
Definitely.
Okay.
So remember, this is a 5-year plan, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
great to have some other ideas in the hopper, include those, and have some process for prioritizing those, identifying,
Yeah.
who's going to be involved and so on. So this is a great time to do that. So yeah, Darlene, that's definitely the idea. Start with what we have. All right. Can't think of anything
you,
else.
Karen.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll move on to the next item agenda, which is an update on the clean water service providers for basins 5, 7, and 8. So I guess we'll start with how they're listed, which is basin 5.
All right, thanks. So I'm sharing the screen here. Everybody see the RPC website?
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so for Basin 5, the CCRPC is the clean water service provider for Northern Lake Champlain. So we put a link right here on our homepage. Just that'll take you, okay, that takes you to the quiz page, which you should see. We have had 2 meetings so far. And the most of the stuff is here under the Basin Water Quality Council. So the minutes of April 20th are up. The members and alternates are there, up and running, the chairs, vice chair, Last meeting was very useful from the standpoint of we kind of had a little show and tell by a lot of our different groups, NRCD, Franklin County, Lake Iroquois Association, and there's some video links as well too in the minutes and all. So that was very useful just to kind of get everybody kind of knowing about what some of those groups do. I think for one of our upcoming meetings, just so you know, it'd be great to have if any of the municipalities want to share on any non-regulatory projects they've managed. We also talked about general procedures. These are still in draft form because the guidance document is still in the work, so we didn't want to have the council approve anything, but then have it turns out to be inaccurate because the guidance changed. But that just had to do with general meeting policies and the purpose and things like that. In terms of the next steps, we'll be again looking at the policies and procedures. We'll have the more refinement on the conflict of interest procedure, things like that, and all. So, and I will, the other thing that's happened is that we're working on 2 RFQs right now. The first RFQ is more on for subcontractors. And that is different from sub-grantees. So subcontractors are normally what you guys think of, and that'll be mostly geared towards engineers to help with design, all phases of a project: identification, development, design, construction, implementation, oversight, and then inspections and operations and maintenance. That will set up a pool of consultants. The next one will be for sub-grantees, because sub-grantees, a grant, i.e. a non-competitive process, can go to a project implementer, the person who stands up a project. And this is more the organizations that are envisioned to manage these projects on the ground. So that's your conservation districts, your watershed groups, municipalities in some case, and others out there. And again, that is the one part in the Clean Water Service Provider rule that can be, what's the word, that can be sub-granted. So that's kind of where we are. Hopefully we'll be able to get out the RFQ for the engineers here in the next few weeks. We've run a draft by DEC, and we just have couple minor tweaks to make, and all. And then that same template will be used by our fellow basin providers. And I will pass the baton to Dean Pierce from Basin 7.
Thank you, Dan. And if it's okay, I'm just going to dive right in. I've got some notes here, so I'm going to just check those out before I get rolling. Hopefully everybody can hear me. As I believe Dan has been fond of saying, the plane has been built as we've been going down the runway. I think we can say that we've got wings and are airborne, but we're still working on rudders and flaps. The Northwest Regional Planning Commission is the QUISP for 2 basins, for the Lamoille Basin, which is known as Basin 7, and for the Missisquoi Basin, which is Basin 6. We have had 2 meetings in the Lamoille Basin. The Lamoille Basin has a chair and vice chair now. The director of the Lamoille County Conservation District, Peter Danforth, has been elected chair. Sarah Had, who many of you know from her years in Colchester, but now of Fairfax, has been elected the vice chair. So we've got a couple of experienced hands in leadership positions. In the initial meeting, we focused on things like the importance of the open meeting law, public records law. We have, as a staffing organization, as the QUISP in support of the council, have been very deep in the development of these RFQs for partners and subcontractors. So I won't really say anything more about that. I'll focus more on what the council is doing or will be doing. Our upcoming agenda, for example, we hope to have feature a presentation by the the basin planner. We will have one also with the council and Mrs. Goy. So Karen will be coming to a meeting, but Danielle Lartarski will be coming to a meeting to give the council members a introduction, although many of them will know what the basin plans are about, but refresh their memories having to do with the implementation table. We have been working on bylaws, so we're hoping that the bylaws will be ready for adoption. We are hoping that the group will also be in a position to adopt a public participation policy. And then a couple of topics we will be taking up are related to procurement, because the councils are to see a guidance document that the QUISP is preparing for those partners, and should be giving it an okay or thumbs up. And we will also be starting to introduce them to the prioritization process. The phase 3 contracts that Dan mentioned have the councils and the QUISPs completing work on that by the end of June. So there's a fair amount of work having to do with procurement and prioritization to be done before the end of June if we're going to meet that schedule. Happy to answer any questions if there are any, and if not, then I will pass it on to my colleague. I think Brian is on.
Thanks, Dean. Hello, everyone. I'm Brian Voigt, Senior Planner with the Central Vermont Regional Planning Commission, and we are the clean water service provider for Basin 8, the Winooski River Basin. We are a little bit behind both Dean and Dan's quiz. We've had our first meeting. We're about to have our second meeting scheduled. At our first meeting, we covered a lot of the same content that Dean mentioned, focusing on the public process and records, open records and public meetings and things like that. Moving into our upcoming meeting, we're hoping to review a draft of the bylaws, as well as getting a chair and vice chair appointed. And on the side, helping as I can with the RFQs that Dan mentioned. So that's kind of the short version of where we're at. Again, we've got a second meeting upcoming here where we'll cover a lot more content than the first, related to all these same topics that both Dan and Dean brought up that I won't repeat unless folks have questions. Thanks.
Hey, Brian, quick question. Did I see an email from you about needing another municipal rep? Was that?
I did. Thank you for reminding me about that, Dan. I did send out a message about getting another municipal rep. Right now, we, well, take a step back. For our BWIC, we are appointing alternates for all of the seats, and right now we're one alternate short for the municipal representation. I had sent out a call for additional nominations that I had asked for folks to submit by yesterday, having received a whopping total of 0 nominations. If there are any interested parties here, certainly be open to hearing from you about that. And I can put my contact information in the chat here.
Okay, and I know Annie's one of the municipal seats, right? And then
that's correct. And Annie and Nigel Hicks Tibbles.
Nigel's from Upriver, I assume.
He is from Northfield.
Okay. And right now you just have one municipal alternate, so you need another.
That's correct. And our municipal alternate is Darlene from Huntington.
Okay. I thought.
Oh, sorry. No, she's not. I'm sorry. Our alternate is Alice Peel from Waitsfield. Sorry, I'm looking at a slightly dated version of the list.
Yeah, and Darlene, for the record, is our CCRPC rep to the council, and then Garrett Mott is our CCRPC alternate. So yeah, so if anybody, yeah, Brian, if you can put your email in the chat, that'd be great.
Yep, will do.
So we're all three of us are working a lot on this, a lot of moving parts. a lot of consultation with DEC, double checking on things before we go live with certain things, and like I say, the guidance is still at least probably 2 months away from final adoption. So some things may not be formally approved by the BWICS until we can be sure it's consistent with the guidance language in the end. So, but yeah, I suppose one of the biggest, most important things is that, especially for municipalities, you guys can be project implementers, and can manage the consultants and manage a project, in the non-regulatory realm. And also, you will see that when this RFQ for sub-grantees comes out, if your municipality wants to be able to manage an award from one of us 3 BWICs here, please respond appropriately to those RFQ for sub-grantees. And then to make things easy, the sub-grantees, when they need an engineer, as long as they solicit at least from 3 different firms that are pre-qualified into the subcontractor pool of people, then it's going to be kosher. And you'll be able to carry that same engineer with you from design through oversight of construction, et cetera. So that's the plan.
So the Basin Water Quality Councils can approve a project. And
Yeah, that's
and-
the whole idea, is
and-
that the Basin Water Quality Council will receive proposals from sub-grantees. The
okay,
conservation.
from
groups,
sub, okay,
the watershed groups, the municipalities, Trout Unlimited might have a project. There's lots
Yeah.
of different types of folks who can say, yeah, we can manage a restoration project or a river conservancy. We know how to plant trees or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they would put their proposal into to the BWIC. The proposal, in theory, would have been scored already for phosphorus benefits by DEC for efficacy in removing phosphorus, and then there'll be a co-benefit score that the staff people here, Dean and Brian and myself, will do an initial scoring for co-benefits. The BWICS will tweak the co-benefit score, and then the project would get funded. So that's hypothetically how it's supposed to work.
okay, that's, thanks.
So, thanks, Brian. Thanks, Dean. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for the update. So moving on would be an update from Pam on Vermont culverts.
Thanks, Annie. Let's see, I'm going to share my screen. So I just briefly wanted to introduce you all to the latest and greatest VT Culverts website. This is sort of the third version of VT Culverts. And hopefully this will encourage more towns to use the website, not only to keep track of their bridge and culvert infrastructure inventories, but also it can be useful to help understand how their structures are doing, when the last inventory was done. There's all sorts of ways to view the data and metrics that we've included on the new website. I should start with first, the website is the same, the URL is the same as before. It's vtculverts.org. And this is the landing page that you will get to. And what you have here there is a web map that is editable, that all the regional planning commissions have access to, and any town that wants to maintain their own bridge and culvert infrastructure inventories can request a username and password, and we will provide that to you. There is just a public facing map that no login is needed to view all of the structures. And then there is the typical help page that has some useful documents and links on it. That page is still under development, so it's not completely populated yet. On the home page, we list some metrics identifying how many culverts that are town maintained, statewide, how many bridges, how many currently in the inventory are identified as an urgent, critical, or poor condition. And that will, all this information will change as the data is updated throughout this field season. And then you can get sort of a look statewide. We're, pretty good. 54,000 structures are in good condition. You can look at the inventory dates. And then you can go into a dashboard that allows you to take that, a lot of the condition information, and you can drill down to by regional planning commission. So this information will change to just Chittenden County. You can look at just one town in the county, or you could look at a couple of towns. Oh, I just had Colchester selected there, so it just shows just that one town's data. And you can also look by owner if you wanted to see. The majority of the data is, I believe, town maintained or town owned. I didn't stay. And then the you can get to the public facing map right from this link right here, or you can scroll down here and look at the map. I'm just gonna go here so it's open in a bigger view. And we've added a whole bunch of layers to the map that have not been included in previous versions of this, which hopefully will help folks. We've included 911 site locations, so address data. Roads, of course, has always been included. We have the fish and wildlife, stream crossing, culvert inventory data, VTrans, short and long structures. We included the road erosion segment, the road erosion scoring, and then we also added the segment IDs from the MRGP into the actual data. Filter down to a town so we can kind of see. So if you click on one of the points, it'll identify the road erosion or the MRGP segment ID is included. We hope that that will help as folks are out in the field doing road erosion inventory work. They can also identify which culvert they're looking at and perhaps update the information in BT culverts. Some other fields that we added include, we added some different types of culvert material. Gray plastic was something that was not included before, and it's added now. And I'm trying to remember what other new fields. Oh, whether the culvert is a driveway or a drainage culvert has also been added to the data that you can include in your inventory. So again, this is the public facing map, so there's no editing allowed here, but on the map that you log into, you can make edits, you can edit the existing data, you can add new data. And then there's also a field going app called, with the program called Field Maps that allows you to use a phone or a tablet or something, or even a laptop, I guess, if you take it offline, to actually make these edits in the field. So we're hoping that giving more flexibility to be able to do this work while you're out in the field, as opposed to taking handwritten notes and then coming back to the office will encourage more towns to maintain their data here. See if I can go back. So on the useful documents, we have a how-to to make edits. If you have the login credentials, we have an updated inventory form. If you were to make, if you wanted to just take notes out in the field and then come back and make the edits in the office, you can use this inventory form to make sure you collect all the correct data. And then just some helpful documents on bridges versus culverts. And we will be adding probably another how-to on how to use the Field Maps app. I'm sure there's some other documents, help documents that we will be adding as we go forward. And so that's it. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but I just wanted to give you all a heads up, show off the new site, and please let me know if you have any questions. Hey, Dean, you have a question?
I do, Pam. I just happened to, by coincidence, have reason to use the new site recently. And I was wondering, I'm not someone with edit privileges. It would have been easier, it would have been helpful to me if there was an easy way to download the data.
Oh, there is. Sorry, I forgot about sharing that information.
Do you have to have edit privileges for that?
You would need edit privileges to.
Yeah, my request would be to make it easy for people that don't have edit privileges to download. And the other request is.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but you can download the data. You don't need edit privileges.
Oh, okay.
So here is, where did it go? I think it's kind of buried down. Here we go. This brings you to, you can download the bridge data and the culvert data right here.
Okay. If there was a way for people to download the data, let's say for a specific town, I was looking at 2 towns. I was looking at watershed in 2 towns. And so if there was a way to download even if it's just the table, when you have got a subset of records on screen, that would be helpful. And then the only other suggestion is if this website could have the ability, like some others do, to you could upload either a shapefile or KML or something like that to use along with the data. I found it really really helpful, and just thought I'd mention those 2 things before I had to sign off.
So you would like to be able to, like, say, add watershed boundaries or something to your view while you're using the map? Is that what the last point?
Yeah, I mean, the instance was I was working with the conservation district staff person. She had created some data as a CSV file, so she had uploaded it to Google. But anyway, it was just her data, which I couldn't use along with this data because I didn't have an easy way to upload it. And that's why I was trying to download it.
Okay, that's a really good, thank you. I've added that capability to some of my my online maps, and that's a really good point. We will add that tool or widget. But you can download. So are you seeing the screen with where we've got a filter set up? So you can filter for, a particular town or 2, I think.
Yep.
And then when you turn that on, let's see. So now you can download just the 182 structures that are. Doesn't seem right, but yeah, download just what you filtered. So you can download just a particular town or 2 if you'd like.
Right. The situation I'm imagining is if I could upload data, she's got 10 points on it. I can combine it with the culverts, and then I can select those 10 points that are closest to her 10 points and then download them, that in terms of workflow, that would, be really wicked efficient. I know that I can get the data someplace else and do it, but if I'm working on the site, I just thought it would be helpful.
Okay, cool, thank you. I will see what we can do. We can definitely add, we can add a tool that will allow you to upload her CSV data, for example. But I'm not sure if we can add the download right in the map, but I will see. I'll look into that. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thanks, Pam.
Far as others, I've got nothing else other than I've already talked about clean water service provider stuff and the UPWP, so that pretty much already covers it. Covers it
Okay.
there.
Are there any updates by members of the committee that they would like to share, or any of our guests? Okay, so the last item is any items for the next meeting, which would be Tuesday, June 7th. We'll probably have an update on the clean water service providers, I assume.
Yep, we will on that, yeah.
And I can't think of anything, but if anybody has any items they'd like to discuss at the next meeting, feel free to reach out to me or Dan or Dawn.
Yeah, and I will check with Karen. We may want to circle back on the final language of the survey or something like that.
Okay, that's a good point.
So, yeah.
All right.
Uh,
If I'm not hearing anything from anybody else, so we will adjourn the meeting.
Meeting adjourned at 12:04.
All right, thank you.